Have you noticed how often your whole day seems to collapse because of one small moment? You wake up calm. Maybe you're making coffee, scrolling for a second, getting ready to work. Then someone throws out a careless comment, a look of annoyance, a short, cold reply. It lasts 3 seconds, but your mind carries it for the next 10 hours. And then, at night, when the lights are off and your body is tired, your mind presses play again. You replay the scene, their tone, their face, what you should have said. Your heart beats faster over something that ended hours ago. It feels like they're still inside your head, renting space for free. Let me ask you something, honestly. Did they really make you angry? Did they truly ruin your day? Or, without noticing, did you hand them the remote to your emotions and let them press every button? What hurts you more? What actually happened, or the story your mind keeps telling about it all day long? The Stoics, and later Viktor Frankl, pointed to a simple, terrifying truth. Between what happens and how you respond, there is a space. In that space is your freedom, your power, your real life. Modern neuroscience agrees. Your brain has been trained for years to react in certain ways, to attack, to run, to freeze, to replay. But anything trained can be retrained. You are not a fixed pattern. You are a work in progress. This episode is not about pretending you don't feel hurt or anger. It's about learning to stand in that space between stimulus and response and choosing differently. Today, we'll walk through 10 Stoic lessons that will help you take back your power, stop living and dying by other people's words, set boundaries that protect your energy, let go of resentment, and keep your inner peace even when the outside world is loud and unfair. If you're tired of letting other people push the anger, hurt, and not enough buttons in your mind, stay with me. This is Stoic Current, and if you're ready to stop living on emotional autopilot and start living with intention, consider subscribing so we can keep rebuilding your inner world together. As we begin, say this quietly to yourself: I am allowed to choose my response. I am not a slave to other people's behavior. Lesson 1. Take back your power. Your reactions are your choice. You're having a quiet morning. You sit down with your coffee, open your laptop, start working on something that matters. For a moment, your mind feels calm. Then it happens. A message pops up, a sarcastic comment, a cold reply. Someone throws out a careless line that hits an old wound. It takes them 3 seconds to say it, but your mind carries it for the next 10 hours. The work in front of you feels heavier. You catch yourself thinking, they just ruined my mood. They ruined my whole day. But what if that thought is the real problem? What if they didn't ruin your day at all? You just handed them the power to do it. This is the first lesson of emotional freedom. Your reactions are your choice. Not an easy choice, not always a comfortable one, but still a choice. The world is stimulus. You are response. The Stoics understood this long before psychology had the words for it. You can't control what people say, what they think, whether they notice you or ignore you, but you can always ask, what will I do with this? Who do I want to be in this moment? Modern neuroscience tells the same story. One part of your brain reacts fast. It feels the sting and wants to fight, run, or shut down. Another part can pause, reflect, and choose. It doesn't erase your feelings. It simply asks, given that I feel this way, what do I want to do next? You can't always stop the first wave, but you can decide what you build with it. Picture your emotions as a television and imagine there is a remote control. Most of the time, without noticing it, you hand that remote to other people. If they're kind, you feel good. If they're harsh, you feel terrible. If they ignore you, you feel invisible. They flip through channels and you just follow. The first act of Stoic self-respect is this: you quietly take the remote back. You stop saying, "They made me feel this way," and you start saying, "I felt this way, and now I choose what to do with it." Blaming others for your emotions is tempting because it's easier than looking inward. If they are the problem, you don't have to examine your patterns or your old wounds. But every time you insist that someone else made you feel something, you teach your mind a quiet lesson. I am not in control in here. Everyone else is. Over time, you lose your sense of agency, that deep feeling that your inner life belongs to you. Taking it back doesn't mean becoming cold or pretending you don't care. It doesn't mean smiling while people disrespect you. It means recognizing that between what they do and what you do next, there is a gap, a small one, at first. But with practice, that gap grows. So how do you start, in real life, when emotions move faster than thought? For this first lesson, think of it as a tiny ritual you can carry in your pocket. It takes less than a minute, and you can do it right in the middle of your day. When you feel triggered, don't rush to react. Give yourself 3 slow breaths. As you breathe, quietly name what's moving inside you: anger, hurt, embarrassment, jealousy, shame. The moment you put a name to it, you've already stepped out of autopilot. You're no longer just the emotion, you've become the one who is noticing it. Then, gently separate what happened from what your mind is making it mean. Ask yourself 2 simple questions: what actually happened? And what story is my mind telling about it? The fact might be, they replied with a short message. The story might be, they don't respect me. I'm not important. I always get treated this way. Facts are neutral. Stories are optional. From there, invite your future self into the room. Ask, what response fits the kind of person I want to become? Maybe that means replying calmly. Maybe it means setting a boundary. Maybe it means saying nothing at all. The details can change, but the rule stays the same. You act from your values, not just from your pain. You won't do this perfectly. No one does. But every time you practice, you carve a new pathway in your mind, away from reflex and toward choice. This is how you stop being an emotional victim and start becoming the driver of your own life. Say this to yourself, softly but clearly. In every moment, I choose my response. My peace is mine to protect. Lesson 2. Guard your space. Protect your energy with boundaries. There's a quiet pattern you might recognize in yourself. You're the one people call at midnight when they're falling apart. You're the one who stays late to finish the project someone else dropped. You're the one who listens, who fixes, who absorbs, who says, "It's okay, I've got it," even when you're already exhausted. On the outside, it looks noble. On the inside, something starts to crack. You close your laptop at 1 a.m. after helping a friend with their work, even though you have your own deadline in the morning. You get off a long call where you listen to someone vent for an hour, and afterward you just sit there staring at the wall, emotionally empty. A small voice whispers, "Why does no one check on me like this?" Another voice replies, "Don't be selfish. They needed you." You feel guilty if you say no. You feel used if you say yes. That tension is the sign of a missing boundary. Think of your energy like water in a cup. You can pour it into your work, your relationships, your growth. But if you keep pouring and never refill, eventually the cup runs dry. No matter how kind you are, no matter how much you love people, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Most of us don't run out all at once. We leak slowly. A favor here. A sure, I can take that on there. A call me anytime. That turns into every time. By the time you notice, you don't feel generous anymore. You feel resentful, not because you don't care, but because you cared past your capacity. Now, picture your mind and your time as a house. If your house has no door, anyone can walk in whenever they want. They can leave their bags in the hallway, their shoes on your couch, their problems on your floor. You can get angry at them for making a mess, but the truth is, you never installed a door. You never decided who is allowed in, when, and for how long. That's what life without boundaries looks like. The Stoic Epictetus said that freedom is the ability to live as you wish, not as others expect. Without boundaries, you are not living as you wish. You are living as everyone else wishes, and then wondering why you feel so tired and unseen. Modern psychology has a word for this pattern: people-pleasing. It's not just about being nice. It's often rooted in fear. Fear of being rejected, fear of disappointing others, fear of being called selfish, dramatic, or too much. So you trade your peace for their approval. You trade your time for their comfort. You trade your needs for their needs, and call it kindness. But beneath that pattern, there is a deeper wound, a sentence many people never say out loud: if I'm not useful, I'm not lovable. If your worth feels tied to what you do for others, of course you will overgive. Of course you will struggle to say no. A boundary in that case feels like a threat. If I stop giving, will they still want me? The truth is, healthy boundaries don't push real connection away. They protect it. A boundary is not a concrete wall. It is a door. It can open. It can close. It is under your control. You decide how much time, energy, and emotional space you can realistically give without abandoning yourself. People who truly care about you may need time to adjust when you start setting boundaries, but they won't disappear. The ones who only valued your constant availability may pull back. That can hurt, but it also reveals what was really there. So how do you start guarding your space without feeling like a bad person? Begin small, with a quiet practice you do first on paper, then in real life. Sometime today, take a moment to write down 3 recent situations where your mouth said yes, but your whole body was a clear no. Maybe you agreed to cover a shift you had no energy for. Maybe you picked up the phone when you desperately needed rest. Maybe you listened to the same problem for the 10th time, even though the person never takes action. Don't edit yourself. This list isn't for anyone else. It's a mirror. Then, give yourself one simple sentence to work with a boundary you can actually say out loud. Practice it when you're alone, even if it feels awkward at first. I care about you, but I care about you, but I need to rest tonight. I care about this project, but I need more time to do it well. I care about our connection, but I need to keep my weekends for myself. Notice the structure. It doesn't attack the other person. It doesn't apologize for existing. It simply lays your need on the table next to your care for them. Finally, sometime this week, choose one small, low-stakes moment to use that sentence in real life. Not the biggest, scariest situation. Maybe it's delaying a call, moving a meeting, shortening a visit. Your nervous system needs evidence that setting a boundary does not instantly destroy your relationships. Afterward, pay attention to how you feel. Fear will whisper, they're going to be upset. But underneath you may notice something else. A quiet sense of relief, of dignity, of finally coming home to yourself. This is how you stop sacrificing yourself to keep peace with everyone else and start keeping peace with yourself. Say this with me, even if part of you doesn't fully believe it yet. My energy is not unlimited. I am allowed to protect it. Lesson 3. Unshakable worth. Stop letting others' words define you. Think about the last time you shared something that mattered to you. Maybe you offered an idea in a meeting or told someone about a quiet dream, and then someone laughed. Someone called it silly. Or a person you love said the sentence that hits the hardest. You're not the kind of person who can do that. On the outside, the moment passes, but on the inside, something collapses. You nod, you smile, you change the subject. Later, when you're alone, that sentence replays like a broken record. The next time you want to start something new, that voice speaks first. Why try? You know how this ends. This is how other people's words start to draw the outline of who you believe you are. Not because they are true, but because you've heard them enough to mistake them for truth. Imagine looking at yourself in a warped mirror. The mirror is scratched, bent, and cloudy. If you stare at it long enough, you start to believe the distorted image is simply what you look like. You forget that the mirror is broken, not you. Or picture a price tag hanging on the wrong item in a store. Someone mislabeled it years ago, called it cheap, useless, not worth much. If no one ever checks, that tag stays. But the tag never decides the real value. Reality does. People's words are like that. They are tags, mirrors, opinions, never the full truth of who you are. Marcus Aurelius noticed something strange about us. He said, "We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinions than our own. We spend our lives inside our own mind, yet we give a stranger's sentence more weight than our own lived experience." The harsh voice you hear isn't always new. Your inner critic was often built from the voices of parents, teachers, friends, or partners. At some point someone said, "You're too much, you're not enough, you always mess things up." Instead of questioning it, you copied it. You started repeating it to yourself until it sounded like your own thought. That's why certain comments cut so deeply. They don't create a wound, they press on an old one. They land on the deepest fear many people carry in silence. There is something fundamentally wrong with me. I am not good enough. But there's a crucial difference you must learn to see. There is feedback that points to a path, and there is attack that tries to erase your worth. Constructive feedback says, "Here's what you can improve." It might sting, but it leaves your value intact. It talks about your actions, your skills, your approach. Personal attack says, "This is who you are, and it's not good enough." It doesn't point forward, it just pushes you down. Stoic wisdom invites you to make this shift. Take what helps you grow. Refuse to swallow what tries to shrink your soul. Here's a simple practice to begin unhooking your worth from other people's words. First, write down 3 negative sentences that have haunted you. Maybe it's, "You're lazy," "You're not smart enough," or "You always fail at relationships." Second, next to each one, write a truer, more grounded version that starts with, "They said, but the truth is," for example, "They said I'm lazy, but the truth is I've been overwhelmed and was never taught how to manage my energy. They said I'll never succeed, but the truth is they spoke from their own fear, not from my future." Third, when the old sentence shows up in your mind, don't argue with it. Notice it and speak the new sentence out loud. You're not pretending. You're updating the script to something closer to reality. This is how you take the pen back and stop letting other people write your story for you. When the old sentences return, quietly answer them with, "My worth is not up for debate. It is not written by other people's words." Lesson 4. Emotional freedom. Detach from others' opinions. You put on an outfit you really like. You look in the mirror and, for a moment, you actually feel good. A little more confident, a little more alive. Then someone raises an eyebrow and says, "That's an interesting choice." They don't even say it's bad, just interesting. But suddenly the air shifts. Your mind starts racing. Do I look stupid? Was this a mistake? What are they thinking about me? The clothes didn't change. Only your story about yourself did. And that story changed because of one tiny opinion that floated in from the outside. Or maybe it's not your clothes. Maybe it's a comment online. You share something honest, something that took courage. Most people scroll past. A few say something kind. And then there's that one sarcastic reply. That one mocking sentence. You get 100 neutral or positive signals, and your mind latches onto the one negative one like a magnet. Hours later, you're still thinking about it. You replay the words. You imagine what you should have said back. You question yourself. This is what life looks like when your emotional weather depends on other people's forecasts. Think of other people's opinions as the weather: sun, rain, wind, storms. You don't control when it rains, when it's cloudy, when someone else decides to throw shade. But you do control whether you walk outside naked or with a coat. You do control whether you build your house on a rock or on a cloud. Their opinion is the rain. Your preparation is the umbrella. Now imagine something else. You are the architect of a building. You've seen the blueprints, the foundation, every beam and wire. You know why each wall is where it is. A passerby walks past, glances for 2 seconds, and says, "I don't really like that design." Who has the deeper understanding of the building? The architect who knows the inside, or the stranger who just sees the outside? Most of the time, you let the stranger's 2-second glance weigh more than your years of experience inside your own life. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Why? Because growth often makes you look strange to people who are standing still. Your brain is wired to care about acceptance. From an evolutionary standpoint, being cast out from the group used to mean danger, even death. So your nervous system treats a disapproving look like a threat. But if you never put a boundary around that instinct, it turns into a prison. You stop doing what's right for you and start doing what looks right to them. You stop asking, "What aligns with my values?" and start asking, "What will keep everyone comfortable with me?" Underneath this is a deep fear. If they don't approve of me, I'll be alone. I'll be rejected. I won't belong. So you trade your truth for their temporary approval. You trade your path for their applause. There is a difference between living aligned with your values and living according to the crowd's taste. Living aligned might mean choosing work that matters to you, even if it doesn't impress people at reunions. It might mean dressing in a way that feels like you, even if it doesn't match what's trending. It might mean speaking honestly, even when silence would make you more likable. Living for the crowd means the opposite. You shape your life to fit their expectations, then wonder why you feel empty inside your own skin. Stoicism invites you to flip the order. First, ask, what is right? What is true for me? Only then, who can walk with me there? Here's a small practice to begin gently detaching from other people's opinions. The next time a remark shakes you, don't rush to replay it on a loop. Instead, pause and ask yourself, does this person really understand my journey? Have they lived my life, carried my history, felt my battles? Most of the time, the answer is no. They watched one scene and judged the entire movie. Then, choose one small thing to do this week purely because you believe in it. Wear the outfit you like, even if someone thinks it's too much. Share the idea in the meeting, even if no one claps. Post the art, the writing, the project that matters to you, even if it never goes viral. After you've done it, take a moment to write down how you actually feel. Yes, there may be fear, awkwardness, self-consciousness, but look a little closer. There will also be a small, quiet sense of freedom that is your true self, finally getting some air. This is how you stop living as a mirror for everyone else's expectations and start living as yourself. If it helps, repeat this in your mind when you feel yourself shrinking. I live by my values, not by their opinions. Lesson 5. Release the fire. Master the art of letting go. There is a certain memory you carry like a secret flame, a betrayal, a cruel sentence, an injustice at work. You think about it far more often than you admit. You replay the scene in the shower, on your commute, before you fall asleep. What they said, what they did, what you wish you had said back. Part of you believes that by holding on to it, you are staying strong, staying alert, staying in control. If I let this go, you think, then they win. Then it means it didn't matter. But look closely at what's really happening. Imagine holding a burning coal in your hand, waiting for the perfect moment to throw it at the person who hurt you. While you wait, it keeps burning. The longer you hold it, the more it destroys your own skin. That is what clinging to anger does. Or picture a backpack on your shoulders. Every bitter memory is a stone. You put one in when they lied, another when they took credit for your work, another when they left without explanation. At first, it doesn't feel so heavy, but as the years pass and the stones pile up, your back bends. You start walking differently. You forget what it feels like to move freely. The Buddha said, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The Stoics would agree. Your nervous system is not designed to live in constant replay. Rumination, chewing on the same painful scene over and over, keeps your body in a low-grade state of threat. Your muscles don't fully relax. Your sleep is lighter. Your mind keeps scanning for danger, even when you're safe. And here is the hardest part to admit. You think you are holding on to the memory to punish them. In reality, you are punishing yourself for their behavior. Letting go feels like surrender. It feels like saying, "It's fine, it didn't hurt, I forgive you completely." But that's not what letting go really is. Letting go does not erase the past. It does not say what happened was okay. It does not mean you have to invite that person back into your life. Letting go simply means changing your relationship with the memory. It means the event is no longer allowed to run your day, shape your reactions, or define your worth. It moves from active wound to closed scar. You can still remember it. You can still learn from it. You simply stop bleeding from it. So how do you begin to release the fire without betraying yourself? Start gently with a small ritual on paper. Give yourself a few quiet minutes and write down the name of one person or one specific event you are still holding on to. Be honest. You don't have to show this to anyone. Simply name it in plain words. I'm still holding on to what happened with. Then, underneath that name or event, write 3 things you learned or ways you changed because of it. Maybe you became more discerning about who you trust. Maybe you finally realized your value at work and left a toxic environment. Maybe you started therapy or set boundaries for the first time in your life. This isn't about pretending the pain was a gift. It's about recognizing that even from something unfair and ugly, you grew in ways that are now yours to keep. When you're ready, create a simple release ritual. You might tear the paper into small pieces and throw it away. You might fold it and place it in a box labeled "Done" or "Closed." You might burn it safely and watch the words disappear. The act itself is symbolic, but your mind understands symbols. You're telling your nervous system, "I acknowledge what happened, and I am choosing not to carry it in the same way anymore." You're not erasing the history. You are sending a signal to your own mind. This story no longer runs my life. I will remember, but I will no longer relive. You may have to repeat this more than once. Letting go is often a process, not a single dramatic moment. Some days the anger will return. On those days, you remind yourself, "I am not weak for wanting peace. I am wise for refusing to bleed for someone else's choices." This is how you stop punishing yourself for what someone else did and start walking with lighter hands and a lighter heart. At the end of your reflection, close your eyes and say, "I choose to release what hurts me more than it teaches me." Lesson 6. End the disappointment loop. Stop expecting people to be like you. You know this pattern well. You're the one who replies quickly. You remember birthdays. You check in when someone goes quiet. You think about how your words land. Then the day comes when you really need someone. You send the message. You hint that you're not okay. You wait. They leave you on scene. They respond hours later with a meme. They change the subject. And inside, something twists. If it were me, you think, I would never treat them like this. It feels like betrayal, like proof that you care more, try harder, love deeper. The disappointment isn't just about what they did, it's about what it seems to say about you. This is the disappointment loop. You give how you would want to receive. You expect the same in return. You don't get it. You feel hurt, confused, and quietly resentful. Underneath is one hidden assumption. People who love me will behave like me. But people don't run on your operating system. Imagine you're using iOS and the other person is on Android. Your apps, shortcuts, and gestures make perfect sense to you. You swipe, tap, and wonder, why don't they just do it this way? But their system is different. Different default settings, different notifications, different ways of processing and responding. It's not that one is better and one is worse. They're just not the same. Now picture something else. Each person walks through life holding a map. Your map is drawn from your values, your upbringing, your wounds, your lessons. On your map, if someone cares, they check in. On your map, if someone respects you, they respond. But their map might say, if I give them space, that's respect. If I don't burden people with my problems, that's love. You're angry because they aren't following your map. They're confused because they don't even know your map exists. The Stoics pointed to a hard truth. Expectations are often the root of our suffering, not because standards are bad, but because we quietly believe, if they love me, they'll act like me. Psychology calls this projection. You take your own standards, how you show up, how you would respond, and you project them onto someone else. When they don't match, you don't just feel surprised. You feel personally rejected. Behind that reaction, there's a deeper fear. If they don't treat me the way I would treat them, maybe I'm not important. Maybe I'm not worth that kind of effort. Maybe I care too much, and that makes me weak. So, you try harder. You answer faster. You give more. You over-explain, over-care, overstay. And each time they fall short of your unspoken script, the wound opens again. Growth in relationships begins when you accept a subtle but powerful shift. People act from their nature, not from the version of them you created in your mind. Accepting this doesn't mean you tolerate anything. It doesn't mean you abandon your values. It means you stop being shocked when someone shows you who they've always been. You let their patterns be information, not a personal verdict on your worth. You can still choose how close to stand to them. You can still set boundaries, change the level of access, or even walk away. But you stop demanding that they turn into you. Here is a simple exercise to help you step out of the disappointment loop. First, bring to mind one recent moment when you felt deeply let down by someone. On paper, describe what happened in a few lines. Then add this question underneath. What exactly was I expecting them to do? Maybe you expected them to check on you without being asked. Maybe you expected them to apologize first. Maybe you expected them to make you a priority the way you made them one. Next, gently ask yourself, did they ever truly promise me this? Or was I holding them to a standard I never clearly expressed? If they did promise, their behavior shows a misalignment with their own words. If they never promised, your disappointment is revealing an unspoken expectation you were carrying alone. From there, choose one reminder sentence to work with. They act from their nature. I will act from mine. Write it somewhere you can see it. The next time someone disappoints you, pause instead of spiraling and repeat it slowly. It won't erase the pain, but it quietly shifts the focus back to where your power lives, not in forcing them to change, but in choosing how you will respond. Their nature will do what it does, consistent, predictable, often unchanged. Your nature, however, is something you can shape with awareness and choice. This is how you stop letting your mood rise and fall with other people's behavior. When you feel that old disappointment tighten in your chest, remind yourself, I release the need for others to be me. I choose my response. Lesson 7. Choose peace over ego. Let go of the need to be right. Think about the last argument you had. It might have started with something small, the best route to drive, the right way to load the dishwasher, or a difference in how to handle money, work, or family. At first, it was just a discussion. Then voices rose, body language tightened. You weren't just talking about a topic anymore. You were defending yourself. By the end, it didn't even matter who was technically correct. What stayed with you was the heaviness in your chest, the distance in the room, the quiet after the door closed. This is what happens when the ego grabs the wheel. Picture two people on opposite ends of a rope playing tug-of-war. Each one leans back, digs their feet into the ground, pulls harder. The more one pulls, the more the other resists. There's strain, sweat, and tension. But what happens if someone finally lets go? No one wins the rope. The game just ends. Everyone stops exhausting themselves over a piece of string. That's how many arguments work. You're both pulling, convinced that if you let go, you'll lose something important. But often, there is no real victory at the end, just two tired people, more disconnected than before. Now imagine a staircase. Every time you win a pointless argument, you climb one step higher away from real intimacy. You might feel a momentary rush. I proved my point. I showed them I was right. But look around. The higher you climb on that staircase of pride, the lonelier it becomes. You're above them in your mind, but further away from them in your heart. The Stoic and Taoist traditions both ask a simple, disarming question. Do you want to be right, or do you want to be at peace? Lao Tzu said, "He who is attached to his views will never grow." If you can't tolerate being wrong, you don't protect your worth, you trap it. You make your entire value rest on never being mistaken, never changing your mind, never saying, "I didn't see it that way before." Underneath this is a fragile belief. If I'm wrong, I'm less. If I'm wrong, I'm stupid. If I'm wrong, they won't respect me. So you defend every point. You correct every detail. You argue over technicalities that don't change your life in any meaningful way. But there is another way to see it. Admitting you were wrong in one moment doesn't erase your worth. It strengthens it. The person who can say, "You're right, I missed that," or "I see where I was unfair," is not weak. They're grounded. They know their value isn't built on perfection, so they don't crumble when new information arrives. You don't have to collapse into self-hatred to acknowledge a mistake. You simply update your understanding and move forward. That is real self-respect. So how do you practice choosing peace over ego in real conversations? Start small. The next time you're in a discussion and feel that tight urge to prove your point, pause for a moment and simply say, "I see your point," before you share your own view. You're not surrendering your perspective. You're showing that you value understanding more than scoring. You're turning the conversation from a battle into an exchange. You can also set yourself a tiny daily challenge. Pick one minor argument, a detail that doesn't shape your future, and let it end without a final verdict. Maybe it's about whether a movie was actually good, whether a memory happened in 2018 or 2019, or which cafe has better coffee. Instead of chasing the last word, experiment with, "Maybe you're right," or "We see it differently, and that's okay." Pay attention to what happens inside your body when you do this. Later, take a moment to write down how you actually felt. Did you truly lose something important, or did you gain a sense of relief, lightness, and calm? Often, you'll realize you didn't lose respect at all. You gained it both for yourself and from others by proving that your identity isn't so fragile that it breaks if you're not on top in every debate. This is how you shift from needing to win to actually wanting to understand and be understood. Tonight, before you sleep, Let this line settle in your heart. Being at peace is more important than being right. Lesson 8. Turn criticism into fuel. Reframe feedback for growth. Think about the last time someone criticized you directly. Maybe your boss said, "This isn't good enough." Your partner said, "You never listen." A friend dropped, "Honestly, that was a selfish thing to do." You felt your chest tighten, heat in your face. Your mind immediately built a defense. That's not true. They don't see how hard I'm trying. What about the times I did it right? In that moment, it doesn't feel like they're pointing at an action. It feels like they're pointing at you. Not "you did something wrong," but "you are wrong." So of course your first instinct is to fight back, to explain, to flip the blame. Your ego steps forward like a bodyguard. We must protect the image at all costs. But what if criticism didn't have to be an attack? What if, in many cases, it could be redirected into fuel? Imagine criticism as rain falling on a field. If the rain comes too hard and too fast, it floods, suffocates, and drowns the roots. But if you know how to guide the water through channels into the right soil, it becomes nourishment. The rain itself isn't good or bad. What matters is how you direct it. Now think of criticism like a magnifying glass. It zooms in on one area of your behavior, one specific action or pattern. You can do one of two things with that glass. You can smash it, get angry that someone dared to hold it up. Or you can look, just for a moment, and ask, "Is there something here I need to see?" Epictetus once said, "If anyone tells you that a certain person speaks ill of you, do not make excuses about what is said of you, but answer, 'He does not know my other faults, else he would not have mentioned only these.'" It sounds harsh, but the wisdom underneath is simple. You are not flawless. No one is. Being told about one flaw doesn't destroy you. It just reveals one small piece of a much bigger picture you're still allowed to improve. Psychology explains why criticism feels so threatening. Your ego, your image of who you are, wants to stay intact. So your first reaction is rarely, "Let me listen." It's, "Let me protect myself." But there is a crucial distinction most people never make. Some criticism is about your actions or skills. "I needed you to be on time. This report was missing key details. You interrupted me 3 times." And some criticism tries to attack your entire identity. "You're useless. You always screw things up. You're a terrible person." When you can separate yourself from your mistakes, everything changes. You can look at an action and say, "That wasn't my best," without collapsing into, "I am worthless." "I made a mistake" is a doorway. "I am a mistake" is a prison. Let's make this practical. The next time someone criticizes you, especially if it stings, turn it into a quiet 3-part practice without saying a word out loud. First, resist the urge to react immediately. You can nod, say, "Okay," or simply stay quiet for a moment. Save your real processing for later. When you're alone, write down exactly what they said, capturing their words as closely as you can remember. Then, take a pen and start sorting. Circle anything that might be useful information and let the rest sit outside the circle. If your boss said, "You're always so careless with details. This whole section is sloppy," you might circle, "This whole section is sloppy and careless with details," as feedback about your work, and mentally cross out, "You're always so," as exaggeration or emotional charge. You're not pretending their tone didn't hurt. You're simply organizing it. Useful data in one pile, unnecessary sting in another. Finally, for the parts you circled, write down one concrete step you'll take to improve. Maybe it's, "Next time I'll run a spell check and read it one more time before sending." Maybe it's, "I'll ask for clarity on what good enough looks like." Maybe it's, "I'll practice pausing before I respond so I don't interrupt." Small, specific, doable. You're turning criticism into a staircase instead of a stone you keep throwing at yourself. Not all criticism is fair, but this way, even the unfair ones don't get to own your mind. Some people speak from envy, frustration, or their own unhealed wounds. You don't have to swallow every word. But if you close your ears to all criticism, you also close the door to growth. Stoic strength is not being untouchable. It's being teachable without being destroyed. It's being able to say, that part was off, I can do better, without turning it into, I am nothing. This is how you turn harsh words from stones into stepping stones. Keep this thought at the front of your mind. The next time feedback stings, I am willing to grow more than I am afraid to be criticized. Lesson 9. Win with stillness. Respond with silence, not anger. You know that feeling when someone says something so disrespectful, so deliberately sharp, that your whole body reacts before your mind does. Your chest tightens, your jaw locks, your heart starts pounding like a drum in your ears. Every part of you wants to fire back, to clap back harder, to prove you're not someone they can walk all over. Maybe it's a coworker who makes a joke at your expense in front of others. Maybe it's a family member who knows exactly which old wound to poke. Maybe it's a stranger online, hiding behind a screen, pouring poison into the comments. They throw a spark, and your whole nervous system becomes gasoline. In that moment, anger whispers, say something, don't let this slide, show them. But here's the truth. Not every spark deserves a fire. Imagine anger as a flame. For a fire to keep burning, it needs oxygen. If you keep feeding it through arguments, comebacks, and endless explanations, it grows, spreads, and eventually burns more than you ever intended. But if you remove the oxygen, the flame doesn't get what it wants. It flickers, it starves, it dies out on its own. Your silence is that removal of oxygen. Now picture a still lake. When the surface is calm, it reflects everything clearly, the sky, the trees, the person looking down at it. The calmer the water, the clearer the reflection. When someone tries to provoke you and you remain still, they end up seeing themselves more clearly than they see you. Their sarcasm, their insecurity, their bitterness, all of it is mirrored back to them in your lack of reaction. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, the best answer to anger is silence. Buddhist wisdom adds another line, speak only if your words are more beautiful than silence. The problem is, silence feels unbearable to the ego. Your ego believes that if you don't respond, you look weak. It believes that if you don't defend yourself, their words win. So, it pushes you toward the keyboard, toward the raised voice, toward the cutting line you'll probably regret later. But stepping into every fight you're invited to doesn't prove strength. It proves you're easy to control. When someone can pull you into chaos with one sentence, they aren't just speaking, they're steering you. Silence, when chosen consciously, is not losing. It is stepping out of their game completely. It is saying, without words, I see what you're trying to do, and I decline to participate. This doesn't mean you never speak up. It doesn't mean you tolerate abuse or accept disrespect forever. It means you choose when and how to respond, instead of letting anger choose for you. Sometimes the most powerful response is delayed, measured, and calm. Sometimes the most powerful response is none at all. So, how do you train yourself to use silence as strength, not as suppression? Start very small. Sometime this week, choose one low-level situation where someone makes a light jab, a passive-aggressive comment, or a sarcastic remark. In that moment, instead of explaining yourself, defending, or trying to correct their perception, offer a small relaxed smile, or simply keep a neutral face and say nothing. You might feel your ego screaming on the inside. That's okay. Let it scream in private. On the outside, you stay still. Later, Take a moment to observe what really happened, not just around you, but inside you. Who actually seemed more out of control? The person who needed to poke, provoke, and perform? Or the person who stayed calm, refused to be dragged in, and kept their peace? Notice how your body feels after choosing silence. The first few times it might register as losing. But look more closely. Do you also feel a small sense of power, of no longer being yanked around like a puppet? From now on, before you speak in moments of tension, quietly ask yourself, if I say this, will the situation truly improve, or will it just escalate? If your words won't bring clarity, healing, or a necessary boundary, they may simply be fuel for the fire. In many cases, your silence will say everything that needs to be said. In those cases, silence is not avoidance, it's strategy. Over time, you learn that you don't have to attend every argument you're invited to. You don't have to answer every accusation. You don't have to correct every misunderstanding about you. The people who matter will learn your character over time. The people who don't were never going to be convinced by one more speech anyway. This is how you learn to win without ever needing to enter the fight. In tense moments, come back to this quiet anchor. My silence is not weakness, it is my chosen strength. Lesson 10. Soft reset. Practice gratitude to dissolve anger. Some days feel like one long traffic jam. Nothing goes as planned. The meeting gets cancelled after you rushed to be on time. Someone breaks a promise they swore they'd keep. Small annoyances pile up: spilled coffee, a slow reply, a careless remark, until everything feels like too much. By midday, you're on edge. You snap at people you care about. Your shoulders are tight, your jaw clenched, your thoughts harsh. You catch yourself thinking, why does everything have to be this difficult? This is what anger does. It pulls your attention into a narrow tunnel where all you can see is what's wrong. When your phone or computer freezes, you don't open every single app and fix each tiny glitch one by one. You look for one thing: the reset button. Gratitude is that soft reset for your emotional system. It doesn't magically fix every problem. It doesn't pretend the traffic isn't there or that people didn't disappoint you. But it gives your mind a different starting point, a wider frame, a bit of breathing room. Imagine you're looking at your life through a tinted lens. When anger takes over, it's like putting on a dark red filter. Everything looks more hostile, more personal, more unfair. Gratitude is like swapping that filter for a softer one. The scene doesn't change, your job is the same, your relationships are the same, but the way you see them shifts. Cicero called gratitude the parent of all virtues. The Stoics understood. When you can see what you still have, even while things are hard, you are less likely to drown in what you've lost. Buddhist teachings remind us, if we didn't learn much today, at least we learned a little. If we didn't learn a little, at least we didn't get sick. If we got sick, at least we didn't die. So let us be thankful. It's not about forcing yourself to be happy about painful things. It's about noticing that even inside a hard moment, not everything is hard. From a psychological point of view, anger narrows your focus to threat. Your nervous system goes into defense mode. You scan for what's wrong, who's to blame, what might go bad next. Gratitude gently opens that focus back up. It signals to your brain, we are not only in danger, there is also safety here. There is also good. You won't always see the bright side of every negative situation. Sometimes there is no bright side, only difficulty. But even then, you might still have a body that works, a mind that can learn, one person who cares, or simply another day to try again. Gratitude doesn't deny your pain. It stops your pain from erasing everything else. Here's a simple way to make gratitude a soft reset instead of just a pretty word. When you feel anger rising, set a 60-second timer. For 1 minute, Write down 3 things you can be grateful for right now, in the middle of the frustration. It might be as simple as, I have a job, even if today is stressful. My body carried me through this day. I have a bed waiting for me tonight. Don't judge whether they are big enough. You're not auditioning for a gratitude contest. You're reminding your mind that the world is larger than this one irritation. At night, before you fall asleep, write down 3 small things from the day that are worth appreciating. It could be a message from a friend, a quiet 5 minutes with your coffee, a moment where you handled something better than you would have a year ago. This trains your attention to notice what's working, not just what's broken. And once a week, take a moment to say thank you to yourself. Not in a joke, not with sarcasm. A real, quiet thank you. Thank you for getting through today. Thank you for trying again. Thank you for not giving up, even when no one saw how hard it was. Your nervous system needs that acknowledgement. It needs to know that you see your own effort, not just your own mistakes. This is how you don't just put out the fire of anger, but turn a warm light back on inside your inner home. Hold this sentence gently when the day feels heavy. In every hard moment, there is still something I can be grateful for. There's something important you need to see before this video ends. You didn't just listen to ideas tonight. You walked through a quiet training for your inner life. You learned to take back the steering wheel of your reactions, to stop handing strangers and stressful moments the remote control to your mood. You learned to guard your energy with boundaries, to stop bleeding yourself dry just to keep everyone else comfortable. You learned that your worth is unshakable, that other people's words and labels are at most wrong price tags, not truth. You learned to step back from opinions and expectations that were never yours to carry, to live by your values instead of being a mirror for everyone else's approval. You learned to loosen your grip on old anger, to stop carrying a backpack full of stones that were breaking your own back. You learned to end the disappointment loop, to stop demanding that people behave like you before you allow yourself to be at peace. You learned to choose peace over ego, to let go of winning pointless arguments so you can actually keep your relationships. You learned to turn criticism into fuel, to separate your identity from your mistakes, and let feedback help you grow instead of crush you. You learned to win with stillness, to respond with silence instead of letting provocation drag you into fires you don't need to stand in. And you learned to use gratitude as a soft reset, to widen your vision when anger narrows it, to see that even on hard days, not everything is hard. The Stoics would remind you, you don't own what has already happened. You only own how you show up now. Every time you pause before reacting, every time you set a boundary, every time you choose calm instead of chaos, you are training a new version of yourself inside. Hold this sentence in your heart. I rise calmer and stronger than yesterday, and I will not waste my peace on what I cannot control. If this speaks to you, write it in the comments to lock it in. And if this journey made your heart a little lighter, consider liking this video and subscribing to Stoic Current so we can keep rebuilding your inner world together. When you're ready to go deeper into regret, overthinking before sleep, or building a peaceful morning, there's another video waiting for you. Don't just scroll. Choose what you feed your mind next.